Hello and welcome to Season 3 of Agriland's Dairy Trail. I'm your host, Cathal O'Shea, Technical Dairy Specialist with Agriland. With the days getting shorter and the checks getting smaller, we'll spend the next 4 weeks visiting farms across the country to get a feel of the atmosphere on the ground. We'll be chatting to these farmers to see how they're getting on with current farm tasks, such as finishing out the grazing rotation, housing, drying off, reducing SCC, and much more. We'll also dive into winter milking and even chat about milking a herd of Montbelliards in County Wicklow. But first, we visit the Ryans in County Tipperary, who are the 2025 NDC and Kerrygold Milk Quality Award winners. Here we spoke to Michael Ryan, who's farming in partnership alongside his parents, Tom and Mary. Michael took us through the year they've had on the farm, from breeding and grazing to infrastructure and trophies. Michael also gave us a breakdown of the dry-off practices in place, which helped them maintain a sub-100 SCC for the majority of the year. So we're here at the farm with Michael Ryan in Lasheen, Turles, County Tipperary. Michael, I suppose Tipperary has been named as one of the best places to visit in the world. You've brought home the Liam McCarthy, and now you've brought home the NDC Milk Quality Awards. How is that feeling coming into the back end of the year?
Yeah, sure, it's surreal enough anyway. Yeah, we didn't think we'd win a Liam McCarthy, and we definitely didn't think we'd win an NDC anyway, Milk Quality Award. Yeah, sure, tis brilliant anyway. There's nothing like a good surprise in life anyway, I suppose. Yeah, we were very, very surprised to win it now.
That's the way, that's good. I suppose then, for an award-winning farmer, how are we doing that? We'll go into maybe cows and talk about what are the cows actually producing at the minute and how many are you milking at the minute?
Yeah, sure, we're milking 152 this year anyway. Tis coming into the back end of the year. We're hoping to do around the 560 anyway when you include what you feed the calves, kilos of milk solids. I'm not sure what the current litres are anyway. I think they're 12 or 13 kind of a thing. But yeah, around 1.3 kilos of milk solids anyway. But we haven't anything dried off yet, but we did the last milk recording there at the moment, and from that we'll pick our cows that will dry off and do our selective dry cow therapy on. Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing at the moment anyway. Sure, I suppose we're finishing up grazing as well. We had to abandon ship there for 5 odd days with the way the weather had turned, but we're out by day to finish off the last 2 paddocks, I suppose. We might get till the 22nd, 23rd kind of a thing, weather dependent. It was great to get it was a big bonus to get grass into the diet this time of the year, and especially the way the weather had gone. We're lucky that ground recovered after that wet spell, that we could keep them out.
Brilliant, fantastic. I suppose maybe you were kind of saying there with what you're milking, kind of banding and stuff, you're kind of balancing the ship there maybe a little bit at the minute, trying to...
Yeah, we had to push back calving start date. We'd normally have started calving around the 20th of January, and with the banding we were always historically over it anyway, with kind of 580 kind of kilos, 560 to 570, 580 kilos of milk solids there, I suppose, the 2019, 2020, 2021 kind of a period. And when the banding came in, we just couldn't see the point of pushing on. We thought when you did your sums up that with the grass-based system we have, you'd be better off just calving them that bit later, feeding a bit less meal, and drying them off that bit earlier, is all. Yeah, sure, look, it's a pity anyway to be having to do that, but sure, look, it's the way it is anyway. If they bring in another band there that you could send in 6,500 litres, we'd probably push on to that. Yeah, that's kind of the way we are with banding anyway. We were lucky, I suppose, this year it was a good grass growing year and a good milking year. When we did the 3-year average, we were able to rob another 150 litres to carry over to this year. So okay. It's that's the one thing about the banding in the middle band. If you have 2 bad years, you can kind of complement that 3rd year kind of a thing. Yeah, we're kind of breeding for a more higher percentage less litres cow as well at the moment. So high EBI, we're pedigree registered here. So at the moment they're kind of 50% Holstein, 50% British region. Nice cow anyway, but we feel the gene pool will probably go a small bit away from the British region, because the gene pool seems to be kind of that bit smaller that you can't pull from as easy. So we'll probably go more kind of 2/3 Holstein, a third British region kind of thing.
Okay.
We have them here already, and they seem to be doing the job. So
Are you using sex this year, or what way are you?
yeah, we use sex on the cows anyway. Tis all AI with the cows, and it's 3 weeks with it's 10 days with the heifers, 7 days, and then estimate anything that's left. And then bulls are ran with the heifers, but the whole way through with the cows, it's all AI. We've gotten heat detection since this breeding season anyway. We bought the SmackTex boluses. So hopefully we'll be able to do more sex semen going forward. I think we did, was it 20% of the cows anyway, this year with the sex semen. But it's a great thing. It gives you more flexibility. You can use more beef straws. You know that you're guaranteed, I suppose. No, well, you're not guaranteed, but you should be guaranteed your replacements off your best cows, which is good too.
Exactly. Stay pushing for those genetics that are winning you awards here. I suppose then maybe back to grass a little bit. How is the grass management going to keep pushing those solids? I know at the minute the season is getting late. It's hard kind of pushing on that bit with all the heavy rain.
Yeah, this year was a dream year up to, I suppose, that week. But hey, it's still a dream year, I suppose, grass-wise here. We got the rain when we needed it, and the cows hadn't actually missed a day. They had gotten grass in the diet every day since they'd calved, which is unheard of for here. Up to that weekend, was it around the 50th, or I suppose the 13th of November, maybe, or even 14th of November. But they're back out again anyway. Grass is still growing mad away for this time of the year. It is a great problem, I suppose, to have, that you can stay nipping them off and keeping grass in the diet. So I suppose what way we work it here, anything after they're 4 days calved, they can go out once they're going into the bull tank, they're able to go out to grass. We normally have them out by day, and then maybe out by 3 hours at night, all going well in the spring or for February. And I think all of February we had them out that way, and bar maybe the odd wet day, they were only out for 3 hours. March, in the first 10 days, we had to pull the handbrake a small bit because we felt that we were going to run ourselves tight. We were a small bit, we weren't tremendous. I think we were 35% grazed in February, but we didn't want to go too hard too soon before Paddy's Day. So 10 days, they were only out by day and in by night. And then after that, they were out by day, for 3 hours, and then out full time by the 25th, I think, of March anyway. Yeah. It's super grassy here. Got the rain when we needed it. Just couldn't complain.
You didn't really get hit with drought here too much, did you?
We got thundery rain, I think, was it on the 10th of May, and other than that we were going to go into the drought. We did have a bit of a drought there in August, all right, which was kind of a nuisance because you would have loved to have been building grass at that stage. But all in all, when you just ended up feeding back to some of the surplus bales you've been making the whole way along. Look, if you had every year like this, you'd be delighted, kind of a thing. So you'll take your hit when you were given to it in August, I suppose.
And how are you getting on then? Are you reseeding and using clover, or what ways?
Yeah, I think it's at 6% of the farm in red clover silage. It's on an outblock. That worked really well this year. I think we gave it 20 units of nitrogen there in March, early March, protected urea. And then after that, we followed it with slurry, 3 cuts. I think we ended up with 18 bales an acre, and then we got a grazing off it for finish there in the middle of October. There was clover in all the grass seed mixes we use here. I suppose we kind of lost a bit of faith in it there last year. Some of the high clover swards, they didn't perform, and we've been spreading around 180 kilos of nitrogen here, so we're not shocking heavy with it anyway, but we're not, I suppose it's something we could be better at, is utilising that clover on the milking platform a bit better. But no, that's we're reseeding wise, we're dependent on the year, I suppose. What have we done? A little less than 10%, mostly on the outblocks actually this year. But the farm is generally, the milking platform is fairly good. A lot of it has been reseeded in the last maybe 12, 13 years kind of a thing. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with that.
Brilliant. I suppose then those outblocks, are they just used primarily for silage or heifer rearing going on there as well? Or
Yeah, say the replacements are on the milking platform for the start of the year until the second cut is cut and grass is back on that outblock. When then to kind of build grass at home, we let the replacements go up there, and it gives the cows the free run. Then here they're back stock to 2.7 then at that stage, so it's much easier to build grass. Yeah, say the way we work the outblock is we graze it off and try and graze it off as late as we can. I think it was around maybe the 8th or 9th of November this year, the way the weather went, we pulled the in-calf heifers off of it, and then we will cut that we'll put slurry on that in January and then fertilise it for silage, and then try and aim to cut it the 20th of May. Kind of seems to work well. You have a good bulk as well as reasonably good quality, and then maybe 6-7 weeks cut the second cut off that. Use the second cut now at the back end to feed cows, and quality bales then I suppose for the spring for the cows. Normally try and hold 2 quality bales a cow for the spring. Yeah, that's kind of how we work the outblocks anyway. We've the red clover up there. We have an issue with Italian ryegrass in a part of it there, so we have we're going to have to put that into kind of a whole crop. We've it in red start. We're going to plough that in the spring and put in maybe spring barley, maybe peas with it, and throw it into the second cut next year as a way of getting rid of the Italian ryegrass anyway. Normally we wouldn't do that, but we've reseeded that ground 3 times now in the last 9 years, not 9 years. I suppose nearly 11 years at this stage anyway, and we just can't seem to kill it. So it's a bit of a nuisance. It came in a bag of seed. We didn't want it, but it's there, and we have to try and deal with it now.
fair enough. I suppose maybe back to those replacements then. How are they getting on coming into before calve, and I suppose coming into their last winter?
Yeah, they're flying it now. Yeah, so they got a great doing. They got a great back end last year. So they were out late grazing grass. They were out reasonably early this spring, and they were out till the 8th or 9th of November. So they're all February born, January born, so they've plenty of size with them anyway, and they went well with breeding anyway. Normally we'd synchronise them, but this year we bred them for 7 days, estimated them, and then AI denton that had came. There was a teaser goal in with him as well that serves the cows for the later on. And yeah, it was only a month between the first and the last one calving. There was 2 that didn't go on calf, but we can't win them all anyway, I suppose. Okay. So no, they did very well for us this year, and hopefully they'll do well in the parlour next year.
That's brilliant. And just coming into the back end of the season, then drying off, I suppose you keep SCC fairly low here. How do you go about keeping things so tight?
Yeah, I suppose it starts the autumn before. The selective dry cow therapy, drying them off, taking our time drying them off, and picking the right ones for the selective dry cow therapy anyway, to be rigorous enough, our criteria that they could never have a milk recording over 50, and then even after that, we might be a bit lenient on the last one. We might go to 70 or 80 on the last milk recording. We performed that there this morning, so it'll be interesting to see the results. But then we CMT him before drying them off with just a sealer if we're going down that route. Then cubicles, I suppose, keeping them clean for the first, particularly the first 2 weeks after they calve down. We do them once a day then after that. Then 2 weeks before calving, we'd be keeping an eye on them. We wouldn't be doing them more than once a day, but the diet before they calve down, then we start giving them a kilo of meal and a bit of protein to help the cow kind of transition to the milker diet. And what we found worked really well here was 125 to 140 grams of magnesium flakes. I suppose the fact we have high index K fields and stuff, there's a lot of K in the silage here. So milk fever, it's not a tremendous issue, but if you can hit them hard with the magnesium flakes, it won't be an issue. And we've always found, since we started doing that, it's really reduced the amount of mastitis we've had calving down along, because I suppose subclinical mastitis or subclinical milk fever. It's kind of a gateway disease to E. coli and everything. You know, if she can't close her sphincter, if she's kind of subacute milk fever, she's more likely to pick up other things. And once she picks up that, then she'll have higher cell count for the rest of the year. That's something we'd swear by here. I suppose 2 weeks before they calve down as well, or maybe even when we bring them into from the main batch, if they're close to calving, what we do every day is we pre-spray them before they calve. That works really well with the heifers because we don't teat seal them or anything, but gets them used to handling them and doing everything too, a small bit anyway.
Yeah.
But that's it. And I suppose then when we're in their parlour, we're pre-spraying them and rubbing them and stripping the back 2 quarters Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the front 2 quarters Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. With the Smactix boluses put in now, we might be able to do away with all this drawing with the health alerts that are on that. But yeah, no, that's it. I suppose we're meticulous enough. And anyone that's ever came in here milking too, to be fair to them, relief milkers or anything, they've been very meticulous too. And we're very lucky, I suppose, that way with the people that have been milking here.
That's what you need, all right. I suppose then with being particular coming into that back end of the season as well, lameness is another issue you'd be looking out for. What are you doing to keep lameness on the low?
Yeah, well, we're lucky here. Both me and my father, we're both able to hoof pair. So if we see a cow, we draft her. We're lucky as well. I suppose we have a good foot batting system there as well. We'd be foot batting them depending on the time of the year. Like there's no point foot batting them too regularly during the summer, or their feet will get too hard, and that'll lead to its own issues. But if the weather's wet, and especially if they're out grazing late, every 2 weeks we foot bat them. We do a whole herd actually pair as well when they're dried off and in the shade. Michael Houlihan, he's a local hoof pairer. He comes in and lifts them all in the one day, and it really sets them up well. There's none of this looking at a cow in January or February and saying, "Oh, Jesus, I'm after missing her," because it's hard to see them when they are in the shed and they're not walking in front of you. Because normally a lame cow will be lying down for when she's left alone, and you won't spot her unless you're doing the cubicles and she's walking in front of you. No, we'd swear by that anyway, and we'd put a big emphasis on breeding, trying to breed in good feet and not breeding off cows that are repeat offenders, I suppose, with lameness. Would be that'd be our protocol on lameness anyway, I suppose, this time of the year.
Okay. If we stick with housing, you were saying there when you're walking on the slats, I see you're putting up a new slurry holding tank there. How is that going for you?
Yeah, the slurry tower anyway, we applied for the 60% grant on it anyway, and we were going building it. Well, we had it in the pipeline to build it. It's a 14.5 by 4 rings high, so it'll hold 931 meters cubed. It is way bigger than what we need, but it's no harm to future-proof the system either with everything that's going on.
Lets you be more efficient with slurry and nitrogen and everything then as well, I suppose.
Exactly, you're not a force spreader, and as a Teagasc man said to me before, if you wouldn't go spread a bag of fertilizer, why would you go out and spread 3,000 gallons an acre on when the weather is the way it is? You can't store everything, obviously, and you will have to go. But if you have that, ability to go with the majority of the slurry when you want to go with it, it's a great addition to utilise that nutrient to the best of its ability. And especially here, we're nearly index 3 and 4s for all in P, so we've no P allowance at the moment. So we have to try and utilise that slurry to the best of our ability. We were blessed with the spring that was in it. Sure, I think we had 85% of the milking platform hit and all the outblocks by the paddies there, a little along with it.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a bit along with it anyway, maybe around the 25th of March. But that was the year that was in it too, so it really set the farm up for growth, because nothing seems to beat slurry at that time of the year. It's a super nutrient anyway.
Brilliant. I suppose then maybe talking about P's and K's, Turles, it'll be kind of high enough molybdenum area, would it? Are you feeding copper here, or what way is that?
Yeah, we're very high molybdenum here anyway. We it's a strange old thing. We don't actually have to spread lime here anyway, because if you spread lime, the pH stays high. But when you're high molybdenum, you don't want the pH to be high. 6.2, 6.2 is where you want it. But we've kind of we found that not spreading sulphur, you sacrifice too much on grass. That if you give it to them in the water, we have Bob Allen, Daniel Maguire does it for us. That if you give the mineral in the water and it's protected, you know the animal has it. You're not guessing, did she or doesn't she have it? And so we've kind of worked that system where you've kind of how could you describe? You're kind of given up on the taking much copper from the ground and just feeding it to her, and then you can focus on growing as much grass as you can on without having to and forgetting about the high molybdenum thing. It's a real issue here. I remember when I was younger anyway, calves would be brown for a lot of the year, and since we've went with Bob Allen, that seems to have rectified that issue, and we can kind of just drive on and grow as much grass as we can here with sulphur and everything that goes with it.
Brilliant. Instead of producing that milk quality award winning. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Michael, for taking the time to talk to us today.
No bother, Colin.
And best of luck into the winter.
Thanks.
That's it for this week's episode of The Dairy Trail. Thanks for listening, and tune back in next week for more. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to rate it 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast.